Get a £5 free bet every week with Offer Club from William Hill. Simply stake a total of £20 or more across the week on pre-match football accumulators with 4 or more selections, and you'll get a £5 free bet on the Friday. Join William Hill Offer Club on mobile or online now.
This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV in association with Macklin's in Marbella with the press conference here for Haye and Bellew. With me I've got David Haye. All right, David?
Yeah, I'm not bad, mate. I'm good. Lively little press conference there.
Do you know what the most astonishing part of that press conference was? Your wonderful attack on Eddie Hearn.
It wasn't an attack. I was just
it was
just speaking some truths. Some people, though, the truth hurts sometimes, and everybody, particularly people who watch your IFL TV, will realise all Eddie does is jump in front of the camera. His phone, you got 6 messages on your phone now. Come and film me. I've got something to talk about. I might have bought a new car or do this or that. You know, I'm sick of it. You know, in the time out, I was out of boxing. You know, you want to keep up to date with what's happening in boxing. All I could keep up to date with is what's happening in Eddie Hearn's life. And I generally couldn't care less. You never used to get Barry Hearn, his father, who was a great boxing promoter, screaming and shouting and doing all these videos. It's a different time, you know. Chris Eubank, Nassim Hamid, both, you know, institutions in their own right, because the promoter allowed them to promote themselves. If you look at look up Katie Taylor's interview you did on here. He hijacked her interview. She was there. I actively went on YouTube to see what Katie Taylor had to say after her first fight. Genuinely interested, and I ended up having to listen to Eddie Hearn yapping. I'm like, why are you here? This is not about you. This is about Katie Taylor. Let me talk about Katie Taylor. Let me hear what she's got to say. But he's got to take a backward step. Let his fighters do the talking. You know, it's a situation like now tonight, or just here at the press conference. It should have been Adam Smith from Sky Sports presenting the press conference, but it wasn't. Eddie Hearn snatched the mic and started asking everyone questions. I'm like, dude, this is a co-promotion. I actually own more of this promotion than he does. You know, it was never arranged that you're going to start asking people questions, but he took it upon himself to take the mic off Adam Smith and start narrating that. I'm like, it's like me taking the mic and start asking Eddie Hearn questions, asking Bellew questions. I wouldn't do that. You know, I'm promoting this event. Haymaker's promoting this event as well. So, you know, he needs to calm down, let his fighters do the talking. And he got all riled up. What's he getting riled up for? Sit back, let the fighters talk. It's Haye versus Bellew. It's got nothing to do with Eddie Hearn. But this fight is, you know, Eddie, this is Matchroom versus Haymaker. This is Dave Caldwell versus Shane McGuigan. And this is Bellew versus Haye. And that side are going to all end up finished after this fight.
He said in the press conference he is giving you the payday here.
Okay, he fought last time with Danny Bellew at Echo Arena. It wasn't even half full. I was there. I commentated on it. It wasn't even half full. Did no numbers on TV. It was free to air on Sky. It was terrible. That's what he did. My last couple of fights against people, not world title fights, not for any title whatsoever, just me fighting some guy who no one's ever heard of, smashed his ticket sales and got record-breaking numbers on television. So that's the difference between the two of us. Now he's in a fight against myself. Tickets sold out in a matter of seconds. It's the highest grossing fight ever at the O2 Arena. Is that about him? No, it's me. You know, so he needs to realise that this whole situation, he's going to his percentage that he takes from this fight is going to be more than anyone else has ever got. So he needs to realise that, you know, I'm doing him a favour fighting on Sky. I'm doing him a favour. It makes him look good to Sky, being a co-promoter in this fight.
You said in the press conference you want to and will end Matchroom after you beat Tony Bellew. You'll beat Anthony Joshua.
I'll beat Anthony Joshua, and I'll sign a bunch of fighters to beat all of his other champions as well. Just finish off Matchroom. I'm bored of him. Until Barry comes back, until we got a real promoter who actually genuinely cares about his fighters. Can you imagine Barry Hearn putting a cruiserweight in with a heavyweight? You know, a cruiser punch. No, of course not, because he had the fighter's interest at heart. He always looked after his fighters. Eddie just wants to put fighters in just for the sake of fight. You know, fighters put his champions in fights. He knows they've got no chance of winning, just because he might get a few extra quid at the end of it. You know, he doesn't really care about his fighters. Doesn't love his fighters, and you know it's bad for boxing. You know, what has he had to struggle for in his life? Think about it. You know, the guy was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. I've had to work for every single thing that I've ever had. What's the biggest decision he's ever probably had to make is, when am I going to get a blue or a black Bentley on my 18th birthday? That's it. and he goes around thinking like he's a bit of a gangster. All right, mate, yeah, giving all the Essex crap. The guy's a chump, and he needs to be exposed, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to expose him against Bellew, and then do exactly the same thing with Anthony Joshua as well. We notice Anthony Joshua ain't been chatting my name, because deep in his heart, he knows what I'm about. He understands boxing. Eddie Hearn as well also swerves me. He talks about every other fight. He'll fight Klitschko, he'll fight Wilder, he'll fight Louis Ortiz. But he doesn't mention my name because he knows what will happen. Everybody deep down knows what will happen. But when but Sky at some stage going to say, I tell you what, we're claiming that Joshua's the best in the world. He's the world champion. There's no more Molinas out there. Molina got knocked out by Areola in 1 round. Molina got knocked out by, Deontay Wilder, who had a broken hand. Obviously, Andy's going to drill him in a couple of rounds, but there's only so many of those you can have before people start getting bored of it. So they're going to say, what about Haye versus Joshua? Seems like it would be the biggest heavyweight fight pretty much ever, numbers-wise. But we'll see. After I've drilled out and smashed Bellew, the bell end, to pieces, then we'll see how brave Eddie will be with his other little ace.
Aside from people coming up to you in the street telling you they want you to knock Tony Bellew out, why are you taking this fight?
That's basically it, really. It's a
They
fight
say you're taking
that
it for
fits.
money.
Yeah, of course, the money. Listen, no one does it for free. Whatever job you do, you're not going to do that job for nothing. It's going to take 3 months of training. I want to be compensated at the end of it. I always am compensated. All the other fights, my last 2 fights, I got paid well. The fight before that, I got paid well. It's just what I do. I fight and I get paid. So it's like saying Mayweather's only taking his next fight because he's getting paid for it. Yeah, it's a job. It's my job. It's my profession. It's what I do. There are other fights I could have took and got good money, but this one was attractive because not only am I getting paid, I've got the opportunity to give the fans a big smile on their face. And they haven't been that happy over the last couple of fights as the opponents got knocked out pretty quick. So this just gives them an opportunity to see someone get knocked out quick they actually know and care about.
But Eddie and Tony specifically saying you're taking this fight because you haven't got money. I
don't know where they got my bank statement from, but if they want to believe that, then if they want to believe that's the only reason I'm taking it, then they can believe that all they want.
I know you touched on this in the press conference. Can you just clarify again why Lucas Browne and also obviously Shannon Briggs' fight didn't materialise? Yeah,
we offered Lucas Browne $2 million to fight, but he's not interested at all in any way, shape or form, just flat out said no. He wants to win the title, the WBA title, and then defend it against me. But he wants to be the first Australian, and he knows he won't beat me. So that's why that fight happened. And coincidentally, he failed a drug test recently, so I don't know what's happened with his career. Shannon Briggs, on the other hand, we had a contract. We agreed, me and his people agreed that, this is from their side, remember, they said they can bring the WBA vacant title to the table, that we could fight for that. And if that was on the table, that fight would then be pay-per-view worthy. And all he had to do was fight in the undercard. His people said they could guarantee that. Well, okay, if you guys can guarantee that, I'm happy with that split because you're bringing the title. It's got nothing to do with me. I'm sure it'd take a lot of money to pay all the people ranked above us, step aside money to get us to this title fight. So we agreed everything. Coincidentally, he couldn't get the WBA title on the line, and with that not being on the line, there's no pay-per-view. He's not interested in fighting in a non-pay-per-view show because it means he gets a couple of $100,000 opposed to $5 to $10 million, which he wants to sail into the sunset, screaming, "Let's go champion to the distance." But that's still a fight. Listen, as long as he stays unbeaten, if he he might be fighting for a vacant title soon. If that is the case, then there can be business to be done. But at the moment, we're talking about me ducking him. I've got a contract. I've got a contract with the stipulations that he failed on. So that's that. He doesn't want to fight on free-to-air television, so that's why the fight didn't happen. I was willing to fight him on free-to-air TV for no titles, just because it was just a fun fight. Just like this one's just a fun. Same way I was going to take that fight like I'm going to take this one. But Tony was actually willing to do it, and he had the backing in Sky Sports behind him, his promoter, Matchroom, to make the fight happen. So that's why the fight's happening.
We haven't seen this David Haye since probably you fought Chisora. Obviously, you haven't been active as much as whatever in that period, but today it seems to be you were leading the sort of the vocal charge.
I feel back. I belong in these big fights. This is what I'm here for. This is why I'm in boxing. I'm in boxing so people care, so people are interested in the fights I'm having. They were interested in before, but it was more of a curiosity. I wonder if David's as good as he used to be. Will I knock 2 people out in a couple of rounds? Okay, he's back. Let's see David actually in a fight against someone who's a champion. And Tony Bellew speaks a lot. He's got a little following up in Liverpool, and He had a small part in a Rocky movie where he played himself like a complete moron, and that's it. So people want to see that, and tickets sold out. As I said, record-breaking numbers in terms of ticket prices and whatnot, and people genuinely want to see the fight for a non-title fight. So, you know, that's why this situation's happening.
Just finally, that head-to-head there seemed to throw a punch.
I didn't throw a punch.
You
People
sure?
keep saying I definitely didn't throw a punch. All I remember is him pushing me. I just remember him pushing me, so I went and pushed him back. Maybe I pushed him in his face with my fist. Maybe. No, I don't know. No, I just remember pushing. I remember thinking I never initiate unless I really, really feel threatened, and he's not that scary. So I was gonna be. It's only till I felt his hands connect to me that I did anything. I think I just sort of just give him a little slap around the side of his head. I think that was it. Nothing hard. But if he thinks that's, I heard him say, "Oh, you punched me." I think if he thinks that's a punch, woo, he's in for a tough night on March the 4th, because I literally just gave him a little slap, and he felt the power of the slap and thought it was a punch. This guy's in such trouble. Oh my God.
Okay, David, listen, thank you very much for coming to iFull TV. It's a 4-month build-up to this.
It's not that long. Stop exaggerating.
Well, it is.
Not
4 months between now and March
It's
the
not.
4th.
It's 13 and a half
Ish?
weeks.
All right,
13 and a half weeks. 4 months. More like 3 months and some change.
fair enough.
You're making it sound like it's really far away. 4 months is like ages away. This is like.
Well, it's March. We're in November.
I know, but
so
we're at the kind of
you
end.
see where I'm going
We're
with
at the end of it, and it's at the beginning of that. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. So
But thank you very much for giving us a little bit of time, and yeah, roll on March.
what's
the
your
4th.
prediction for this fight? How long do you reckon he'll stay conscious for?
I'm not going to get involved.
Okay,
in this.
oxygen or no oxygen after the fight. That's the bet's going to be.
Again, I'm not going to get involved in this. If you want to ask me when the camera switches off, feel free.
Okay.
But
you got to admit, it's a bit irresponsible for his team to put him in the ring with me. Okay, put it this way. Mark Demori, the guy I fought, the guy hadn't lost in 10 years. He apparently learned to fight on YouTube or whatever. Who cares? He was a sparring partner for Tyson Fury, and Tyson Fury says he's a tough guy. You know, he sparred with Lucas Brown, loads and loads around, who also said he's a very tough guy. I hit that guy with one punch. He was unconscious. I then hit him with 3 punches after that, and he was asleep for 10 minutes. You know, his whole memory was wiped. Now, put Tony Bellew's head in where that fight, where Demori's head would be. His head would explode. You know when you see those snipers shooting a melon, it just goes. Pow! That's what would happen to his head. And those 3 punches that come in afterwards would just be hitting pure bits of melon. Yeah. That's what you need to get in your head. His head will literally explode. It's horrible. I'd like to say I don't want to do it, but you know everybody wants to see it, so it's not going to be nice. Not for him, and not for him anyway. It's going to be really horrible. But then again, he won't really remember it. So it's not like he's going to be a sustained beating. It's just going to be like lights out, and just then he'll wake up in hospital and go, "How'd I do? You kind of got knocked out with a jab, mate." That's how it's going to go.
well, only 3 months
I've got
off.
to wait that long. Oh, that's really annoying.
All right. Well, listen. Thank you very much again for talking to us, and I'm sure we'll catch up with you sooner rather than later, David. So
Definitely.
take care of yourself.
All the best.
Speak to you soon.